Hi everybody and welcome back to the 75th season of Bearcat Update. I'm your host Jason Holland and today we'll be updating you on how the seasons are looking for our fall sports. From volleyball's red hot streak to golf's successful end to a historic season and everything in between. Cue the intro. The Bearcat football team dropped a heartbreaker yesterday in a game that came down to the wire. Northwest welcomed UCM to Bearcat Stadium, and both three-loss teams were looking to turn the page on their forgettable seasons. The Bearcats came out hot, stopping UCM on the first possession and driving the ball down the field on offense. A costly fumble on the 2-yard line left the Bearcats empty-handed, though. Red zone miscues seemed to be the story for the Bearcats as a blocked field goal and pick six on two other occasions left Northwest empty-handed. The Bearcats dropped their fourth of the year, marking 2 straight seasons that the boys in green will have 4+ losses. They'll be back in action at home against Northeastern State in 2 weeks after a bye this week. On the topic of the football team, our producer Killian Beck is adding his insight and football knowledge into Bearcat Update this semester. Take it away, Killian.
Homecoming is all about the collision between Bearcat past and Bearcat present. It's the legacies from decades ago that laid the foundation for the Bearcats of today. As Ferris Bueller says, life moves pretty fast, and if you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. So let's take a look at some of the major accomplishments from our Bearcats. Kicking off with the team of the hour, our football team may not have won during last year's homecoming, but they didn't let that slow them down as they secured their 28th consecutive winning season. A big reason for that success was Jay Harris's 1,433 yards. That yard mark ranked 10th all-time in Northwest's illustrious record book. He used that success to jump to the Oregon Ducks as they have yet to lose this year. The volleyball team recorded their 8th consecutive winning season as they look well on their way to a 9th. It's been senior libero Kyah Luhring with a historic 1-month run as she's been named MIAA Defensive Player of the Week twice, and on October 8th set the Northwest record for digs in a single match. As of this recording, Luhring is just 58 digs away from 10th place in all-time digs. The golf team has put their nose to the grindstone as this fall has seen team and individual records drop it like it's hot. In September and thus far in October, the team records for 18 and 36 holes fell at the Gray Shin Regional Preview. But that's not all. Paige Hoffman broke the individual record for the lowest strokes in a 36-hole tournament. And then a week later, she broke her own record at the Gray Shin Regional Preview, as the team went to a new level that weekend. Our soccer team saw Kaylee Rock, Northwest's all-time leader in goals and assists, walk away after an illustrious 4-year career. The team notched their 4th winning season in a row, as goalkeeper Lily Ellis has taken the torch from Rock as the leader of the team. Alongside numerous individual accolades, Ellis and the Bearcats have found themselves at the precipice of the program's 5th straight winning season. Bearcat men's basketball enjoyed plenty of wins and losses last year. With an uncharacteristic 5-3 start to the season, it was the intense coaching of Ben McCollum that led them to a 24-2 run to end the year. Despite a crushing buzzer beater to end the Bearcats season, the biggest loss was legendary head coach Ben McCollum. New head coach Matt Keeley accepted the challenge set before him as we draw within a month of the new look Bearcats debut. But head coach Ben McCollum wasn't the only head coach to leave Bearcat Nation, as longtime baseball head coach Darren Lowe decided to walk away from the game after a tenure with Northwest that surpassed 2 decades. Newcomer Tony Jandrin takes over the program as the team gets ready for a frigid January debut. This has been your Bearcat Year in Review. I'm Killian Beck with Bearcat Update, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
It has been 10 days since the Bearcat volleyball team has lost a set. Flawless victories versus Arkansas, Fort Smith, and Newman gave the Bearcats all the momentum they needed as they traveled south to face MIAA foes, Pittsburgh State, yesterday. After battling through the first set 26-24, the Bearcats won by more than 10 points in each of their next 2 sets. Junior Cassidy Mowinkle led the charge for the Bearcats, tallying 12 kills and hitting .375 against the Gorilla defense. Ella Caffrey added to the fun with her 7th double-double of the year, marking 34 assists and 15 digs on the score sheet. An uneventful week will be much-needed rest for the Bearcats as they will travel 45 minutes south to take on the Griffins next Saturday. But as the season passes its midway point, we throw it over to our reporter Zac Scott to give us a recap on how the girls in green have done so far this successful season. Take it away, Zac.
Welcome back to Tenacity, the show where we keep you up to date with Northwest's volleyball team. This week, I wanted to recap the current season of volleyball with both the highs and the lows the team has gone through now that we're halfway through the 2024 season. So, let's get to it. The Bearcats are currently 11-7 with a conference record of 5-3. Some of the Bearcats' best games were against Newman, Fort Hays State, and Arkansas Fort Smith, where they swept their teams 3-0. Close games that ended in victory like the home opener versus Washburn and 2 weeks ago versus Missouri Western. Some close losses that hit hard for us were against opponents like Emporia State, Nebraska Kearney, and Central Oklahoma, where the Bearcats took the first set but couldn't find the rest. The Bearcats are away from home with 3 MIAA rematches from the likes of Missouri Western, Washburn, and Emporia State. The Bearcats went 2-3 against these teams, 2 of which were taken to 5 sets. The Bearcats look to use their offensive combination of sider Ella Caffrey and her pin artillery hitters with Peyton Kirchhoffer and Cassidy Mowinkle, making the pin shine our middles Abby Brunson and Avery Kemp, who have been dominant on offense and defensive sides of the net. Speaking of defense, making sure that the backline is covered are defensive specialists Kyah and Wiley Ray, and Kristen Ford, who is also known to be a leader of rallies with large-scale runs with her behind the service line. This season has also had a few rising stars, so make sure to keep a lookout for these players, starting with Kate Franks, who tallied 14 kills against Newman, as she's looking to take both Brunson and Kemp's place as starting middle after they graduate. The already mentioned Wiley Ray is taking strides to be Northwest's next defensive specialist, with 50 digs already in 6 games. And one of Northwest's newest outsides, Maya Nahar, is making her name known early in her Northwest career with 46 kills on the outside. Make sure to keep track of these players as the season pushes on. There are only so many home games left, and you want to make sure to watch the action unfold at Bearcat Arena. Now, that's all the time we have for today. My name is Zac Scott, and it's back to you, Jason.
The Bearcat soccer team traveled to Hays, Kansas Friday to take on Fort Hays State. The Tigers jumped out to a quick lead, scoring in only the 3rd minute, but the Bearcats' response did not take long as senior forward Adele Gore scored her first goal of the year only 14 minutes later. Although the Bearcats were outshot in the second half, it was Jimena Arnau's 50th minute goal that gave the Bearcats the edge in the end. Junior goalkeeper Lily Ellis's 5 saves inches her closer to top 3 in Northwest history. The Bearcats improved to 6-2-5 on the year and are on the road again today to take on Nebraska Kearney. Good luck, ladies. Hey, it's halftime. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe and click the bell to be the first to know when we post new content. But as we head to our first break of the show, make sure to stick around to catch our meeting with the cheer team. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of the same boring old TV? Tired of watching the same recycled content? Then try Gen 2! Gen 2 is your favorite place for all things gaming and tech related. Come check out our wide variety of games and reviews, catch the latest in gaming and tech news. And if you call right now for the low price of $0 down, you will even get 7 free, yes free, of our very own handcrafted shows and stories for your viewing pleasure. Don't miss out and call now to get the entire Gen 2 package for free! Gen 2, the full package just for you.
Welcome back to Bearcat Update. Our reporter Jake Walker sat down with another one of his teammates on the cheer team so you can get to know them and their story. Take it away, Jake.
Welcome back to Meet the Cheer Team. For this week's interview, we sat down with one of our rookie top girls.
My name is Grace Ish. I'm a flyer. This is my first year on the team, and my major is mass media, broadcast, and production.
Coming to Northwest from Kansas, Grace faced some of the challenges coming into a collegiate cheer program, but has found ways to adapt to them.
Coming from a pretty small school in Kansas, the rules are a lot different, so it was hard learning how to do baskets, a whole bunch of skills that in Kansas in high school that used to be braced are not braced here, so there's a lot of changes.
Bearcat cheerleaders come from many different backgrounds before joining the program, and Grace found a very special way to prepare for being a cheerleader.
With pageants, you're really engaged with your community, and I feel like being a cheerleader, cheering at games, you are engaging with the crowd and everything like that, making new connections with people in the crowd, and then just spreading positivity and team spirit.
Being new to a university far away from home is an intimidating thought. However, Grace has found a new home here at Northwest.
So I've known for a long time that I want to be a news anchor, and Northwest is a really good journalism program. And then for cheer, I met Kelby through NCAA camps in high school, and she talked about Northwest. So not only did they have a really cool cheer program, but as well as a journalism program.
With a short amount of time already spent on the team, Grace shares some advice for any future Bearcat cheerleaders.
Some days you're just going to have those days where you just don't want to go to cheer, but then you have to remember this is a privilege to be able to cheer on a collegiate team, and so you're doing it for yourself and you have to push. And the good is you're going to a team that supports you and you have all the friends in the world on the team. Going into tryouts last year, I did online tryouts, and I had no clue in the world if I would make the team or not. I just wanted to go ahead and put myself out there and try out. And then I made it, and I love it here, so I think everybody should try out if they're thinking about it.
That's going to wrap up our time with Bearcat Cheer. We're going to swing this one back over to your host. Take it away, Jason.
Thanks, Jake. Northwest says a bittersweet goodbye to seniors Paige Hoffman and Madeline Schlepfa as the Bearcat golf team competed in their last tournament of the year at the Midwest Classic held at Mozingo Lake. The senior duo finished second and third in the season finale and left a mark on Northwest, both finishing within the top 20 in the Central region in their final seasons. The Bearcats ranked 11th in the region and 65th in the nation under first-year head coach Lathan Croy. With plenty of young talent, the Bearcats look forward to memorable seasons ahead. Great job this year, and congratulations, ladies. On the topic of memorable seasons, Bearcat volleyball senior libero Kyah Luhring tallied her second MIAA Defensive Athlete of the Week after a red-hot week for the Bearcats. It was fair to say that Luhring's school record 54 digs in a win over Missouri Western sticks out on paper, along with her total 89 digs this week alone. Luhring continues to break single-match records for the Bearcats as she inches closer to top 10 in career digs at Northwest. But what is all the success worth without great fans to bask in the glory with? This week, our reporter Reece Hill met with one of Northwest's own Bearcats and Blazers. Over to you, Reece.
If you've been to a Northwest athletic event in the last few years, you've likely seen these guys in the stands or on the sidelines. The self-proclaimed best student section in the nation has quickly become one of the most recognizable groups on campus since its establishment by Northwest student Nick Verwers and his friends just a few years ago. Nowadays, a lot of people know who the Bearcats and Blazers are, but not a lot of people know how they burst onto the scene and how they became such a phenomenon.
No, so Cats and Blazers started it's coming up on our 2-year anniversary, where a couple of my roommates and I decided that we wanted to just wear Blazers at a football game to try to get on the Jumbotron. And then we got on there a couple times and we thought it was the funniest thing in the world. So then we got a kind of a big group of us. So got some of our OGs, got Jackson, Levi, Lucius, and Logan. We all just show up at the game We started bringing signs, and then once we started bringing signs, Coach Wright and his wife recognized us, and Coach Wright invited us on his podcast. And that was a pretty cool experience. So from there, it's built our social media channels, and it's only kind of gone up from there.
Following their appearance on Coach Rich Wright's podcast, the Cats and Blazers have only seen their brand grow. From the Fix Main Street effort to sponsorships with local businesses like McDonald's, Planet Sub, and Shirley's Realty, the Cats and Blazers have branched out beyond their sideline shenanigans to become local celebrities.
It originally was just like nobody would really make mention of it, and then like say we're walking in the parade or out on campus and people are going like, hey, you're the guys who eat Big Macs. So it's so funny just to see, and then having all sorts of different like students, teachers, or just anybody in general come up to us and just say like they love our sign or a video we made. I think it's the funnest thing in the entire world, because at the end of the day, this thing originally, it wasn't meant to be something that it is today.
This meteoric rise hasn't been without some challenges, however. With the signature Bearcat blazers being pulled off the shelves at Walmart last fall, it's been difficult to bring new students into the fold.
No new members essentially can join because there's no more blazers, which is really unfortunate because like this whole group itself is something I think is really, really fun, and I would love to have like future like Northwest students be able to participate in. But unless blazers show up again, Cats and Blazers is probably going to just slowly fade away like shirtless Bearcats did. But at the same time, people here on this campus are creative, and I imagine they're going to come up with something even better than we did.
Although his time at the university will eventually come to an end and the future of the Blazers is uncertain, the community's embrace of the group and the opportunities that have sprung from it are not lost on Verwers.
I think my biggest thing is just a thank you, because as I stated earlier, this is originally all just to get on the Jumbotron. From like the moment on where people started like actively cheering for us, or like saying like we're going out of their way to thank us for what we do, it created an awesome like career opportunity for me. My life goal at some point in time was to do sports marketing, and this has been an amazing platform for me, and like it would not be possible without the support of the students, Maryville community, and just like alums of Northwest in general. I have met too many awesome people through this, and I've made way too many friends from it. So at the end of the day, I guess if I have like a message to send out to anybody in general, is just go out there, go on a whim, be creative. So I don't really know. There's a whole, Cats and Blazers has been a big part of my college experience, and I've 100% loved it.
We're going to shift gears here for a bit. Wiley Ray and Jackson Phelps of X106.7 are going in depth on yesterday's loss to Central Missouri.
Thanks, Jason. I'm Wiley Ray, and with me is Jackson Phelps, as always. And Jackson, it was a somber loss for the Bearcats yesterday.
Very somber, you know, a lot of emotions after yesterday's game for the Bearcats and the boys. Definitely a game that was in the hands a couple of times and just couldn't get the job done. But, you know, a very heartbreaking loss for the Bearcats. But there was, you know, a lot of good stuff to take away from that game, Wiley.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that game, it all started off, Northwest drove down the field, and it was a great sequence of events for them, and then they get to the 1 yard line and a missed handoff, just a little bit of a miscue between Runke and Tank Young, and you know that caused the fumble turnover. And you know Northwest really looked good, tied at 21 at the half, and then Northwest just wasn't able to get it going in the second half, and ultimately had a pick six, and that really was the biggest thing that flawed the Bearcats.
You look at those types of plays on the goal line, the red zone offense just couldn't get it done, and I think that's something that they need to definitely take away and into practice. You know, definitely work on some more red zone type of approaches maybe. But you look at some of the, you know, the stats from this game. Northwest was able to run the ball. I mean, this season, I mean, we've talked about it. That's kind of been the Achilles heel, was the run game this year for the Bearcats, and they put up 130 net gain yards on the rushing. So they had a heck of a day on the run, and the receivers for Northwest also had a great day. Jake Weber, 93 yards. Our very own Luke Matthews, 57 yards. Eric Richardson, 55. And we just go down the list. Even John Jajari had himself a game. So just seeing all those receivers kind of have a breakout game against a tough team in UCM, I mean, there's lots of great things to take away from. So great players, and I really think they did their job. So it just didn't end the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, and you know, you just kind of look at our MVPs, and Who did you have for your MVP of the game yesterday?
My MVP for this was Tank Young. Put up 54 yards on the ground with 9 attempts and a touchdown. Very good game from Tank Young, kind of mitigating, what I just talked about, that run game. He just kind of held it down, was able to put Ruhnke in great situations, that gave the offense a chance to not rely on Ruhnke the whole game to use his arm. So Tank Young, another great week for him, and that's my MVP. Wiley, who do you got?
I got Shane Fredrickson defensively for the Bearcats. He had six solo tackles being total on the day, but even though he may have not had pass breakups, he still was a menace on the field defensively for Northwest. And usually wherever a big play happened, Fredrickson was there to hit it and make things happen. And he really is kind of the core of that secondary for the Bearcats defense.
Awesome. That defense did a great job. And so just to look ahead for the Bearcats, bye week here will be really important. So the boys are definitely going to need some time to take this loss and take stuff out of it and, get ready for the game against Northeastern State.
Yeah, that bye week, taking this loss, a 5-point loss, really, a lot of miscues happened. But ultimately, when you look at this loss, it wasn't a horrible loss. And so when you move into that bye week, a lot of things, it's details. Details matter. One of the biggest things is having, Ruhnke maybe tuck the ball instead of throw it, put him in those critical situations to be a playmaker.
I got to take to Langdon and a couple of the guys after the game. They're taking this bye week for a time to see their families, get a chance to go home. So boys are definitely looking forward to it, and I think the coaches are as well to kind of game plan. So that's that.
All righty, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. When we'll talk about some of the things that we're excited for as we approach basketball season. We'll be right back after this.
Unlike other organizations on and around campus, here, the students do it all.
KNWT is a student-run and student-produced television station.
To support this content, you can go to our YouTube channel at KNWT Channel 8.
And watch the latest shows or even enjoy blasts from the past.
Stay on top of current events and the biggest stories of the week with Northwest News.
Welcome back to Northwest News. I'm Skylar Stamps.
And I'm Wiley Ray.
Get all the latest news coverage and updates about Northwest, the Maryville community, and ways you can stay involved on and off campus. Northwest News every Monday at 8 a.m. on KNWT TV.
Welcome back to Bearcat Update. I'm Wiley Ray, and with me is Jackson Phelps. And Jackson, what we've talked about our favorite sports moments here off camera, but some of the biggest sports moments happen, maybe in the off season for a lot of teams. And just to kind of kick things off, to me, the best thing is the hiring of Matt Keeley. A lot of people don't know the history of Matt Keeley, and his prior position. His college did not have a sports team or a basketball team,
right.
And he built that from the ground up. And so a lot of people sit there, maybe look at that record, maybe look at his tenure there, and they think, hey, this isn't that strong of a team. But they need to realize that he built it from the ground up, right. And built them in a good spot today.
It's exactly what Northwest needs, is someone who can build a program from the ground up. Obviously McCollum leaving to Drake and, taking a bunch of players away. But I think Matt Keeley already has built a strong group already in the offseason for the Bearcats. So definitely really looking forward to see what he does in his first year and from the years to come. I could see recruits, transfers, everything that the Bearcats have been looking for in a basketball program and a coach. So definitely Keeley, a great start and a great, addition to the Bearcats, coaching-wise. I think Andy Peterson did a great job getting him into the Bearcat regime, so I'm excited to see what Keeley does for sure. It's a great moment, Wiley. I like that.
Yeah, what's your favorite moment? I know this is something we shared together, but what's your favorite moment?
My favorite moment was probably last year, 2024 MIAA basketball tournament when the Bearcats actually won that in Kansas City. Me and you actually got to go down there and cover it, so What a great time that was. They beat Pitt State in the championship 78-65, and just being there, the environment, how competitive the MIAA can be, actually getting to witness that with all the teams there. It was so fun to get great basketball, get to cover it, but more than just to see Northwest do what they do. Back in the days, they actually, they won. They took home the MIAA championship, getting to see them cut down the nets and seeing them cut down, just kind of celebrate all together, getting the trophy. It was definitely a really cool thing to be able to go and witness. So that was my favorite moment.
Yeah, and you kind of look at this season for the basketball team, and under a new regime, the Keeley era, I'll call it. Do you think that they have a good chance of making the playoffs once again under Matt Keeley?
Yes, I think they do. It's a clean start, clean team. I think with a new regime, new plays, new everything. Because this is a completely new start. I think the Bearcats definitely have any good chance of making the playoff as anyone else does in the MIAA under Keeley. I think Keeley has, since he built that ground up, he took that team to a tournament championship back in Arizona. So I definitely think that Keeley has what it takes to lead this Bearcat team. You get some of the old starters from last year, Byron Alexander. You get some of those guys who have been here in Maryville for a while, can bring that championship culture into there. So I think Keeley has what it takes, and I think this Bearcat team could go far in the MIAA tournament too as well.
Yeah, and I definitely think that the playoff run, with Matt Keeley and the new regime, it's definitely something. He talked about bringing a new identity to Bearcat basketball.
Yeah.
And I think that really is something to look forward to as this season gets closer. But as we approach the second half of this football season to close out our segment, what is some things that you think is next for the football team to look forward?
Next for the football team is just to stay confident. The season is not over. A lot of heads hanging low right now. You got to stay confident. Seniors are playing for, their last couple of games. You just got to stay confident, and you got to use that confidence into next season. Maybe some new transfers. Got to look around, to see what they could do to change stuff around, plays-wise. Whatever needs to be done, but you just got to have confidence. You can't look back at that last year and say, hey, we can't hold our heads down low. So they got to stay confident. They got to stay ready, and I think that this team could win out the rest of the season if they just go in with confidence. Can't hold your heads low, just keep going.
Yeah, the biggest thing for the Bearcats is confidence is key as they go into the later half of the season. They definitely can turn things around and end with a very nice winning slate.
Yes.
But that'll do it for BCU with the X. But as we wrap up this week's edition of Bearcat Update, our reporter Jaden Varner is going to preview next week's Bearcat schedule. Take it away, Jaden.
Thanks, Wiley, and welcome back to Next Week in Bearcat Sports. I'm your host, Jaden Varner, and this week, I'm not going to awkwardly hold this coffee mug. After a chaotic week of homecoming, football will take a little break as they head to a much-needed bye week. Now, you may be asking, what are you going to talk about this week? Well, that's a great question. A bye week is just as important as a game week. So let's get into the stats. The bye week is undefeated all time against the MIAA. It's so feared that other teams don't even show up to play it. Looking at the Bearcats, expect Luke Matthews to get his bye week started by relaxing Reynolds Hall today. Sources tell me to expect at least 3 yawns and 1 big stretch. My player spotlight this week is none other than the couch. Expected to play a major role this week. Unfortunately, I expect the Bearcats to get caught sleeping as they prepare for Northeastern. On a more serious note, soccer is in action against Nebraska Kearney. That game is going on right now, so go make sure to support them after you finish watching Bearcat Update, of course. Soccer will be back in action Friday and next Sunday. Coming to town Friday is Missouri Southern. It's the Pink Out game, so make sure to wear pink and show your support. Looking at Missouri Southern, this season they have struggled a lot. They currently sit at 1-7-4, and currently they have been held to 0 points in 6 games so far. The Bearcats lead the MIAA in saves and this week's spotlight player for soccer is none other than the saves leader herself, Lily Ellis. She has been incredible this season, and I expect nothing less from Ellis Friday as I anticipate the Bearcats getting the win 2-0. Looking at volleyball, they currently sit at 6th in the MIAA. They continue their long road trip stretch, heading to Missouri Western Saturday, and then back to Kansas to play Washburn on the 29th and Emporia State on the 30th. But I'll get more into those matchups next week. For now, let's focus on Saturday's matchup against Missouri Western. These two teams already faced off earlier this month, with the Bearcats getting the win 3-2. It's one of the only 2 conference losses the Griffins have had this season. The Bearcats could use another big win and expect to see Peyton Kirchhofer play well again against the Griffins, as she is my spotlight player for volleyball. I'm looking for Northwest to get another close win against the Griffins, 3-2. As always, make sure to go out and support your Bearcat Sports. I'm Jaden Varner, and this has been Next Week in Bearcat Sports.
Thanks, Jaden. But that's all the time that we have today. I'm your host, Jason Holland, and this has been Bearcat Update, the provider of complete coverage in Northwest sports. We are live every Sunday at 1, and you can find us on YouTube at KNWT TV. As well as Bearcat Update, you can watch KNWT's other content as well. But before we leave, all of us here at Bearcat Update would like to extend our thoughts and prayers to the Tjeerdsma family as legendary coach Mel Tjeerdsma battles leukemia. Thank you all for watching, and we'll be back in no time.